Step aside. Keep coming. Keep coming. Thank you, Max. Please be seated, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brad Webber. My role here today is to help you all celebrate the life of and pay tribute to the late Robert Neil McKay. Known by many names, some we can mention here, some we cannot. Typically Bob. Bob passed away on the 6th of July at 81 years of age. On behalf of Helen, all of Bob's family, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome each and every one of you to the Mackay Chapel here at Rimba this afternoon. I know the family wish to express a huge heartfelt thank you for your presence today. Now, whether you've travelled from near or far to be here this afternoon, the family says a huge thank you. Of course, for coming to say your farewells and to pay tribute to Bob's life, again, thank you. For those that have joined us online this afternoon, the family would like to say a huge thank you for taking time out of your day and joining us with your online presence. As much as your thoughts and prayers are with us here in the chapel saying farewell this afternoon, we're also thinking of you having to say your farewells through a computer screen. Once again, thank you for joining with us. Husband of Helen, father of Karen, Janelle and Lisa, son of the late Kenneth and Ethel, brother of Noreen, father-in-law to Tony, David and Andrew, and a grandfather of Daniel, Emily Kate, Tom, Amelia and Georgia. Bob was born on the 8th of November 1940 at St Leonard's Hospital and grew up in the family home at Wahroonga, where he was initially raised by his mother until age of 5, when he first recalls meeting his father for the first time. His father, Kenneth, had been a prisoner of war, detained in the Changi prisoner of war camp for 5 years until his release in 1945. Bob attended Waitara Public School and then Hornsby Technical High School, and on completion of his education went to work at the factory of Long and Barden. From then he went into the workshop at L.H. Buck Industries, a large engineering company in Artarmon, during which time he completed his engineering and also a basic accounting degree that he did at night. Moving from the workshop, Bob took up a new role in sales and engineering. When Lindsay and Marie Buck retired in 1971, they offered the elevating and conveying side of the business to Bob and Les Wheeler, who became partners, forming the L.H. Buck Engineering. Bob and Les moved their business to Sefton Road, Thornley, where it remained until Bob retired in 1996. He then sold the business to his son-in-law Tony, who had already been working alongside him for the previous 8 years, and his daughter Karen. Bob was proud of his Scottish heritage. He researched the origins of the clan and revelled in the knowledge that his ancestors were one of the most powerful of the ancient Highland clans. His wardrobe contained a small selection of tartan apparel. This included a cap, scarf, a tie, his favourite being a pair of Mackay tartan trousers, which he would occasionally wear with immense pride in the full knowledge and without any care that he may have been breaking many fashion rules. Many family members are proudly wearing a piece of the Mackay tartan today in this honour. Bob met Helen in 1960. He literally picked her up at the Prince Alfred Park ice rink where she was skating with her girlfriend Lynn. It was love at first sight, and they have been inseparable from that day. Bob and Helen married in 1964 and moved to Ulolo Avenue, Hornsby Heights. Their 3 beautiful daughters, Karen, Janelle and Lisa, were all born while living there. Their neighbours in Ulolo Ave became lifelong friends. Later, Bob and Helen would move from Hornsby Heights to Bonnells Bay on the lake, where he could fish and enjoy the spectacular view from the front porch. Bob had many adventures. He loved caravanning holidays with family and friends, with Helen, and on many occasions, close friends or family would travel locally and overseas. He played golf, loved snow skiing, enjoyed numerous trips to Perisher and New Zealand with the Skibies. Bob loved the water, which also led him to buying a boat with his friends. Bob and Helen enjoyed many weekends on the water. Bob loved fishing. His garage is laden with rods, reels, and filing cabinets full of any kind of tackle you could think of. Later in life, Bob focused on freshwater fishing on the dams around New South Wales and barramundi fishing in far north Queensland with Kevin and Dawn. He fulfilled a dream on his 60th birthday when he took a flight over the Antarctic with his friend Ken. Bob's other great love, apart from Helen, was his passion for cars and motorsport. Bob had many sporty cars over the years. Anything Ford V8, huge Dick Johnson fan, was very proud of a 1968 Mustang that he and his son-in-law Tony had meticulously restored to show-winning condition. His office has display cabinets full of collectible cars of all makes and models and is adorned with an impressive display of car and motorsport memorabilia in immaculate condition. Bob was also an avid rugby union fan and held the position of president of the Colts at the Hornsby Club for many years. Bob enjoyed a very close relationship with Helen's side of the family, forming solid and lifelong bonds with sister-in-laws Shirley, Dawn, Barbara and the late Rhonda, and brothers-in-laws Freddie, Kevin, Mick, Robert, and of course all their families. With the aid of his brother-in-law Bob and the boys, they would often mastermind many memorable family gatherings, always ensuring that there was food, drink, and some form of jovial entertainment for the large gathering of the extended family. Whether it be a Christmas, a wedding, someone's birthday, or just simply a family get-together for no particular reason at all, Bob would always be in the thick of it, heavily involved and loving every minute spending time with his family. Christmas was always a huge affair, with the whole clan gathering at one place or another. Bob and the brother-in-laws would take turn playing Santa, passing out presents for the kids. Each year they would plan a different and always hilarious way for Santa to arrive. A particular memorable Santa arrival during Christmas at Kevin and Dawn's place was Bob fully kitted out in his Santa suit, a huge sack of gifts, and he rode in on one of Kevin's cows, doing his best not to fall off or damage his tailbone, and singing ho 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 all the way in. Bob was blessed to have many dear friends, Ulolo Ave friends, Hornsby friends, the Dural mob, Lake Macquarie friends, boating friends, skiing friends, fishing friends, rugby friends, caravan and camping friends, and many more. Bob's greatest pride and joy is his family. His daughters Karen, Janelle and Lisa, sons-in-law Tony, David and Andrew, and of course the grandchildren Daniel, Emily, Kate, Tom, Amelia and Georgia, whom he loved unconditionally. He was a devoted father and grandfather. He loved their individuality, constantly spoke to them all, and was highly involved in each of their lives, loving them dearly. Bob developed and maintained a close and personal relationship with each of his grandchildren. He would identify and focus on the individual interests of each of them and immerse himself in their lives in every way he possibly could. He would constantly make time to create special moments with each and every one. He was always supportive, always encouraging, and was extremely proud of each and every one of his family. Bob was a selfless, very generous and kind soul, always willing to help a friend or a neighbour, even if it was just putting out a garbage bin at night. If you look around the room today, you can see how much he meant to so many people. Everyone has their own special relationship with Bob, and the family take comfort knowing that you'll all be thinking of him and the memories and the moments that you've each shared with Bob. Bob's sudden passing after 3 weeks in hospital has left the whole family devastated. And even though his passing will leave a huge hole in their hearts and lives, Bob's memory will live on forever. He will be sadly missed, always loved, of course, never forgotten. I'm going to ask Karen, Janelle and Lisa to come forward and share some thoughts and memories of their dad.
Thank you. On behalf of my mum and Janelle and Lisa, my sisters, I would like to thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for coming today to celebrate the life of my dad. To look around and see so many people who genuinely loved, cared and respected the truly wonderful man my dad was eases our pain just a little. The love my parents have had for each other for over 57 years together have taught us what true love is and can be. Mum and Dad shared a full and exciting life. They have so many truly amazing friends that they have shared great times with, either travelling overseas or around Australia. They've enjoyed many years camping in their caravan and their fishing and their boating adventures. Dad in his younger years loved his snow skiing and enjoyed going to New Zealand skiing with his mates, and with Lisa, shared Dad loves the skiing and she would join him when she was old enough to go. Dad loved his 3 daughters unconditionally all his life. He would text us every day just to see if we were okay and put all his emojis at the end. He supported us in everything we did our whole lives. And he was genuinely interested in our lives and listened to us without judgment in everything we did or said. Even in our 50s now, he worried that we were all okay and doing well. He always had time for us growing up, even though he was a very busy businessman. He would take us horse riding on the weekends, picnics, and out on his boat. We always had barbecues with friends on weekends, and he took us on lots of holidays, either camping in our caravan and one amazing holiday adventure in New Zealand with the Mintos. Dad loved each of his personal relationships with his son-in-laws, Tony, David, and Andrew. After having 3 daughters and all female pets, he enjoyed some male companionship. His pride and joy was his 5 grandchildren. He shared a unique and individual relationship with each of them. With Daniel, his firstborn grandson, Dad shared his passion of Ford cars and Dick Johnson racing. I used to blame Dad later in life for Daniel's passion for expensive and fancy cars. With Emily, his first granddaughter, they shared their love of boating and fishing and the water. Dad would give his expert advice on what lure to use to catch which fish. Dad's favourite saying to Emily and to Tony was, "tight lines." With Tom, his second grandson, they shared Tom's passion for music. Dad was Tom's roadie and would take him to music shops and travelling around to secure and purchase the latest guitar Tom would have his eye on. With Amelia, his second granddaughter, Dad loved her passion for reading and writing stories and poems. Her love of dance, Dad would go to her dance concert each year and be proud of her. With Georgia, his third granddaughter, he also enjoyed her love of dance and would once again go along to all her concerts each year and be so proud. Dad always called Georgia his little scallywag. Dad was a younger brother to his sister Noreen, and he has looked after his big sister all his life. As Auntie Noreen said, he was the best big brother in the whole world. I know you hear it all the time, but our dad really was the most amazing, caring, generous, and loving soul, and his family was everything to him. We will miss him every single minute of every single day, but Dad passed in peace, surrounded by his most precious people in the world, so we can take some comfort. You always told me, Dad, that I was strong and I could handle anything, so I will move forward and continue to make you proud. I always had lunch with Mum and Dad on a Wednesday after Mum and I played tennis. And when I got into the car to go home, Dad would always say to me without fail, "No speeding, Kaz." So I promise you, Dad, always that I won't. We all love you, Dad, and we will miss your smiling, happy face. I love you. Thank you. Well, she's the sweet one, I'm not. And I was told I had to keep this brief, but everyone that knows me and time limits knows that that's not going to happen. So,
Because Dad's one of my favourite person, I could actually talk about him for days and days and still not run out of things to say. And I'm going to say this on behalf of Jen and I. I probably don't even need the microphone, guys. Today I just thought I'd share some of my our most favourite memories of Dad and why we all love him so much. For those of you who don't know, I went by several names with my dad. My original birth name, David Rodney, or Rodney David, was selected for me by Dad, but after I was born, he quickly realised that he would have to rescind his favourite name in place of something more fitting for me, a girl. He also called me Lee, my skiing buddy, my deckhand, and always told me I was his baby. And he always said, no matter how old you are, Lee, you're always going to be my baby. He also used to call me Frank, named after the TV character Frank Spencer from Some Mothers Do Have 'Em, after he realised that Frank and I shared the same accident-prone nature and that I had a knack for spilling, breaking, or generally just ballsing things up. Rip, tear, but slow down, Lee, he used to always say it to me. And in fact, I very accidentally happened to, when he was in ICU, knock over a little photo frame which broke into like thousands of pieces of glass, and he just shook his head, rolled his eyes and went, "Good one, Frank." It's easy for us to know what Dad really cared about. It was all of us. It was his family and friends. My dad is a proud family man. In fact, my auntie Noreen said to us the other day, your dad just loved his family. He was really proud of it. Family is everything to him. Dad was our biggest cheerleader, always offering words of encouragement and support, constantly checking in when we were adults and checking in constantly with the grandchildren and cheering them on in their accomplishments. He was always interested in everything we do, and if he didn't know about it, he was going to research it to know about it. And in return, we were his biggest cheerleader, appreciating everything he did for us. Now, you probably know me as Dad's favourite child. But the fact is, we're actually all his favourites. Dad had the special gift of making us feel like we were all his favourite person in the world. We were never in doubt of just how much he loves us, and in return, we made sure he knew just how much we loved him as well. Dad and I had a conversation recently actually about family and about working and why I only chose to do certain jobs. And I said, you know what, Dad, I actually don't want to, be working so hard. I want to actually be there for my girls and for my family the way you guys were for us. And he said, yep, you're right, Lee. Money means nothing. Family's the most important thing. Doesn't matter how much money you have if you're not looking after your family. In our family, Dad loved having his daughters, and he would famously say he wouldn't change them for the world. Karen was the eldest. We used to call her Snow White because she is perfect, and she still is perfect. I was the baby and apparently spoiled according to the girls. And Jen, she's the middle child. And she loved having Dad all to herself. It was always surprising to Kaz and I how Jen, when after we'd come home from a night out with Mum and Dad, and we always say, they used to let us sleep in the back of the station wagon out the front of their friends' houses. But when we would get home, Jen miraculously used to stay asleep, and Karen and I'd have to get up and walk, and Dad would always carry Janelle inside. In fact, Jen's favourite memory of Dad is when she went with him to Newcastle. She was sick and Dad had to go up for work, and she pretended she was an only child and she got to have Dad all to herself, and that's her favourite thing about that. Something that Dad taught us and showed us was his love for Mum. Dad and Mum showed us what we should aspire to in a marriage. They always are, and still now after 61 years, kiss each other hello and say goodbye as well. And I know when Dad was in the hospital and we had to take turns coming in and out, and I'd say, do you want Mum to come in now? And he goes, of course I do. And so that was really nice, wasn't it, Mum? So even though my dad likes to famously say to us, marry for money, girls, you can get a bit of love anywhere, we know that he doesn't really mean that. And it also highlights, girls, we obviously never listen to him. Sorry, boys.
Sorry.
When we were little girls, Dad used to read us the story called My Dolly and Me. In fact, he read it so many times he can say it off by heart. The story starts off, we had adventures, my Dolly and me, and for us, Dad was someone who loved his adventures. Our weekends were full of horse riding in the willows, swimming, boating, fishing, tennis matches on the road, and we like to say we had the best childhood ever. For me personally, the best adventure Dad and I had was our skiing trips. At the age of about 40, Dad decided to take up skiing. With his mates Bob and Bruce, they set off to New Zealand and actually terrorised them all, I think, and they became known as the Three Ski Bees, and they used to wear these ugly, sheepskin hats. But that was their thing, and that's who they were. Dad's favourite mountain to ski was Coronet Peak. As with Dad, he wasn't happy unless he was sharing the fun with us, and I soon became the only child who was still on the family holidays. I became the lucky recipient of a 2-week trip to New Zealand every year, along with several trips to Perisher every snow season. In New Zealand, we would stay at a friend's ski lodge, which was aptly titled Woftum Ski Lodge, which stood for waste of effing time and money. And we just had the best times when we were in there. On my first time ever on skis, Dad taught me a few pointers before we embarked on the mountain. He said, it's all about the snowplow, Lee. All you got to do is know how to snowplow, and then you'll master it. After reassuring him that I did know how to snowplow, we took off the mountain. Now, Dad has this amazing faith in us. He thinks we can do anything and that we're wonderful. And so he decided that the best place for me to start my ski journey was on the top of the mountain, a black run. That means expert. And we got to the top of the mountain. And as we skied off the chairlift, a big sign comes up, warning, advanced skiers only, whiteout. Now, a whiteout means you can't see anything. But Dad said, oh, come on, you'll be all right, you can do it. So off I set in the mountain where, in fact, I couldn't actually do it. I couldn't see, and I was heading straight off the side of the mountain with Dad calling out, snowplow, Lee, snowplow. But I said, I can't, Dad. He goes, fall over. I said, I can't. But spurred on by the fact that Mum was going to kill him if I got injured, he took off, tackled me to the ground, and I obviously survived. And then I said, Dad, I can't get down the mountain. He goes, you can do it. You're a Mackay. Mackays can do anything. And so obviously after that I learned pretty quickly, and Dad and I loved all of our ski trips together, and we challenged each other with races down the mountain each day. The ski bee rule was that you must be in the first line of the car park every day, and if you weren't, get up earlier the next day. They loved to make the first tracks in the snow, and they loved taking us out of the ski field into areas that technically we weren't meant to go, but actually had the best snow. Dad showed me some of his best parenting moments skiing. I remember how he showed me the quickest way to warm up in the mornings, taking out his hip flask of Johnny Walker and having a swig, and then sharing it with me. The 14-year-old me loved that. Dad always pushed us outside of our limits. Jen was also subject to his particular style of parenting when he bought her a very tiny, thin yellow skateboard, took her up to the top of Yololo Avenue and said, come on, you can ride it. It's lucky we're still here. Dad was a car fanatic, loving his motorsports and owning many great cars. His love of Dick Johnson led him to taking us to all the car races to watch Dickie race. In another parenting win for Dad, he decided to take us to Bathurst, and during this time, he decided the best place to watch the race would be at the top of the hill. Now, years later, I went to Bathurst, and I went to the top of the hill and experienced from a fan's point of view and got the real education of what was happening on there. On the way home, I rang Dad and said, oh my God, Dad, I've just been on the hill. I can't believe you took us there. It's wild. And he goes, yeah, I quickly realised I shouldn't, but it was the best place to watch the race, Lee. We also had a little bit of therapy after he took us on the track driving our Ford car after the end of the race, and all the Holden people were booing us, and Jen still is traumatised by that to this day. Dad's cars led him to owning a fabulous Ford XD, which had an amazing V8 motor, and it was a limited edition. Only a small number were made. Everyone in Hornsby Heights knew this car, and Kaz and Jen probably profited the most out of this, as all the boys in Hornsby Heights wanted to go out with the girls so that they could have a ride in the car. Tony was the lucky one. Now, this car was like precious. He loved it more than us, I swear to God. He would sit in there, and if I would touch my hair, he'd look in the mirror and go, are you touching your hair? And I'd say, no, Dad, I'm not. We weren't allowed to eat in the car. In fact, breathing was actually pretty optional in that car. Now, one day, Uncle Fred, where are you, Uncle Fred? He came to stay, and he drove his EH Holden down and parked it in the carport, which meant Dad had to leave his car out the front. He said, Freddie, you better make sure my car's safe out the front all night. But unbeknownst to Dad, the special mechanics at what Dad termed midnight spares had been casing out the house and working out ways they could steal this car. As we were all asleep, Dad, who actually had slept through all of us being babies and never woke up, he heard his car starting. Shit, my car's been stolen! And he saw it flash off the street. Jumping into action mode, he picked up the keys of Mum's Laser, which struggled to do 100 k's an hour, let's be serious, and he set off to chase them down Galston Gorge. Now, this is going to come as a surprise to you all, but he didn't catch them. And I'm not sure what really would have surprised the Midnight Spare crew more if Dad had caught them. The fact that a laser had kept up with a V8, or seeing Dad still in his undies. He vowed that he would never own a good car again, although he did renege on that when he decided to dedicate his time to refurbishing a Mustang GT coupe. He meticulously restored this car with Tony and painted it a beautiful candy apple red, but this time he installed his own version of security. Not trusting the handy club lock of the 80s, he installed a heavy-duty chain and lock system into the concrete floor, which was attached to the engine of the Mustang. He went with the theory of you can have it, but you're not having the engine. To finish off, I thought I'd tell you some fun facts about Dad that you might not know. Dad had a really good sense of luck. He actually survived he didn't survive, but once we were in New Zealand, I think I was in year 4, and we went on a beautiful plane ride over all the glaciers and it landed on it, and we were the first flight up for the day. The next day, the plane went up, but it actually crashed, and it fatally crashed. He also survived a heli skiing accident. They were all going to go up heli skiing in New Zealand, but the day they went to go up, they said, I can't do, guys. This is, it's too dangerous up there, too many avalanches, you can't go. But we'll put you on the next flight tomorrow. And they said, oh, no, we can't go tomorrow because we're leaving. And so that was that. The next day, that helicopter went up, and again, it fatally crashed. So Dad had a really good sense of luck, I think. He loved marlin fishing, and he spent quite a few years mastering this sport. When he was on this marlin fishing, Mum just told us this story the other day. He actually fished with Kirk Pengilly and Michael Hutchins from In Excess, but he said to Mum, oh, that's stoned out of their brain. He held a record for driving the quickest from the Galston side of the gorge to Hookham's Corner. Now, that makes the no speeding rule a bit hypocritical, Kaz, so yeah, but no speeding. He loved oysters and lobster thermidor. As kids, we went to restaurants every week, which was kind of special for kids growing up in the 70s. Friday nights were often dedicated to a Chinese restaurant, which was officially known as the Po-On, but unofficially the Poo-On. Dad encouraged us to be entrepreneurs from a young age. For a grand sum of $5, we were beckoned to comb his hair every night. And the fun fact here is Dad actually still has that same comb that we used to comb his hair with. It's in a red case and it slots out, and he still has it, and it looks brand new. Another fun fact is about Dad is if you eat Parker's pretzels, Dad and Tony actually helped install all the machines that the Parker's pretzels run along. Another fun fact about Dad is that he loves his lures. His favourite lures are the grasshopper and the pumpkin seed. Now, the pumpkin seed one, he was out fishing, and I think it might have been with you, Uncle Kev, and some guy said to him, what did you catch that fish on? And Dad goes, pumpkin seed. And the guy goes, oh, okay. And Dad had a little smirk. The next day, the guy comes back. He goes, mate, can you show me how to put these pumpkin seeds on? I can't get them onto the lure. So he gave you a little bit, but not all the information that you need to catch them. I think another really lovely fact about Dad is that he loved all of our friends, and he treated them like they were his own children. In fact, Jen's friend Julie called while we were in the hospital, and he said, oh, how's my other daughter? So that was really lovely that Dad always really loved our friends and was interested in them as well. Dad came out of retirement and helped Jen finish a 32-unit development block at, maybe 70 odd. He was a master at juggling the eggs when he was making breakfast, and the more Mum shook her head and said, stop it, Bob, the more he would try and juggle. Jen and Dad were really similar. They were always cold, and they just eat the bare minimum. They just would like to invent a pill to eat rather than actually eat the food. However, people always say, I look like Dad. Now, as people think Dad's much younger than what he is, I think I got the good gene instead. With the age of technology, Dad relied heavily on his IT support group, which AKA was his grandchildren, and in particular Em and Dave actually helped a lot with his computers. He was great at keeping in touch with all the grandkids and us, and we would receive text messages nearly every single day. When he found the emoji button on his phone, those texts were really amped up, man. Our messages were filled with a healthy smattering of emojis, and every message always contained the little man that has the glasses on. If you'd like to see it, Emily Kate's got it tattooed on her now, just in memory of Gramps. And this was him. This emoji will be forever known to us as the grandpa emoji. We will miss our daily texts, asking us how we are, finding out what is new, telling us something that he heard that might be relevant. So to finish off, we're going to send him one last text to our darling husband, Dad and Gramps. In life we loved you dearly. In death we love you still. In our hearts you hold a place no one else will ever fill. Love Helen, the girls, your son-in-laws and the grandchildren. Love heart emoji, infinity emoji, rainbow emoji, grandpa emoji. Sorry, Brad.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Janelle. Lisa, you did warn me. Yes. Thank you. Daniel, can you come forward and share, please? Thanks, mate.
The child in me thought this day would never come. I thought my Gramps was invincible. He's someone who's looked and acted the same age for the last 30 years of my life. Unfortunately, I have to face the sad reality that this isn't the case. My Gramps was my biggest fan. To him, everything I did was awesome. He was always looked at me so proud. Like I just solved world hunger, found a cure for cancer and scored a century in the Ashes all on the same day. There was no one with more belief in me than him. I only had one grandpa, and my Gramps was better than having 10. He gave me my love for cars, which is probably as much of a bad thing as it was a good, but it's something that we shared together, and to me that meant the world. He's also been such a main role model for me, along with my dad, who showed me what it means to be a great man, a great husband, a great father, and a great grandfather. It breaks my heart that he will never walk through the door at home again and respond, "All the better for seeing you," when I ask him how he's going. That he won't get to see mine and Kate's house that we're finished. After it's finished building, he was so excited too. But what hurts me the most is that he fell 4 months short of being best man at my wedding, which is something that I knew would have counted amongst his greatest achievements, and a role he took very seriously. There's no replacement for my Gramps. He's the best there is, was, and never will be. And he was truly the greatest of all time. I hope I managed to make him proud one last time. Thanks.
Thanks, Daniel. Amelia and Tom, can you come forward, please?
Hi. I'm going to start off by reading a poem, that I wrote the other day, and then Tom and I are going to read a poem that all us grandkids read for Grandpa on his 80th birthday. Okay. Always true, it is always you. A guiding hand, an open heart, someone to hold the flame amidst the dark. And now lights may flicker with you away, as day fades and dims, uncovering new shades of grey. Yet all we need to colour the skies is to close our eyes and think of you. For in your memory, oh, it's true, your laugh resounds and smiles forever bound. So even still, as you always have, there for us you will remain, as a shoulder to cry on, an arm to lean on, an ear to listen to, as a man who deeply cares, who deeply loves, as a man who brings a sprinkle of joy and a lifetime of love to those around him. They say to love is to have lost, and isn't that true? For in our lives, when we remember you, it will be with love on our mind and care in our hands. And with this, if we behave half as kind, half as loving, half as true as you, the world may become a bit of a better place. Okay, and now we're going to read the grandfather poem.
What is a grandpa? A grandfather is a special gift received from God above. He starts out with patience, then adds an abundance of love.
He enjoys telling you stories about how he grew up, He will share his sandwich with you and let you drink from his cup.
He lets you get away with stuff that mum and dad don't let you. He will teach you how to do things, even share a secret or two.
He is always willing to listen to what you have to say. He knows how to make you smile and never stands in your way. He has tremendous faith in you. He has that special touch. It's no wonder, Grandpa, why we love you so much.
Throughout the years, you have always been a wonderful inspiration to me. When I was small, you bounced me on your knee.
As I grew older, you were always there for me. I only had to call, and you would never let me fall.
The kind of advice you gave to me will never be replaced. Nothing can compare to the smile upon your face.
I would like to thank you, Grandpa, for all that you have done to help me grow, to learn, and most of all, to have fun. A grandpa like you is always ready with a smile, a kiss, and a cuddle, with help and advice when I am in a muddle. And in our opinion, you truly are the best. We love you, Grandpa.
Thank you, Amelia. Thank you, Tom. We're going to pause the service for a few moments now. We're going to put some images up on the screen from Bob's life. You've each arrived today carrying your own memories of Bob. You've all shared a moment, a time or a place. You're all carrying memories with you. What this does now, it gives you an opportunity to grab some more memories, add them to the ones that you've arrived with today, and leave with an even bigger picture of Bob's life.
I love you. You'll be sailing across the sea. I am always thinking of you. You're a
It's now time for us to commit Bob's physical body to the elements. Before we do that, however, let us each be thankful and grateful for Bob's life. I'm going to ask each of you to pause and remember the impact that Bob's life has had on your own. You'll each remember Bob's life by the memories that he leaves behind. Those of us who feel deeply may grieve deeply. No philosophy or religion ever taught to us can prevent that natural reaction from the human heart. We come into this world with nothing, and we depart with nothing. However, it's the memories we leave behind, with family and with friends. They're a mark of our life success. I'm sure you'll each agree that Bob was a very successful man. Bob, as you watch over those you loved, I know that when they listen to the ocean, it'll be your whispers they hear. When a cool breeze caresses their cheeks, it'll be your spirit passing by. You are not gone from us. You'll be watching over your family and guiding them towards the future. Try not thinking of today as goodbye. Try thinking of today as thank you. Thank you for touching our lives, giving us joy. We thank you for the memories that we will cherish forever. We thank you for the good times and for your loyalty to family and friends. We thank you for your love. We thank you for your laughter. Your life we honour. Your departure we accept. Your memories we will cherish. Can I please ask everyone to be upstanding at this stage, please? In grief at your death, but gratitude for your life and for the privilege of sharing it with you, we now tenderly and reverently commit the body of our loved one Bob for cremation. As your spirit and soul rise from your earthly being, know that your family and your friends are here to say farewell. Earth to earth, dust to dust. We bid you peace. We bid you farewell. Please feel free this afternoon to join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those that trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. Please be seated, ladies and gentlemen. Tom, if you can come forward, please, mate. Tom has been rehearsing frantically one of Bob's favourite pieces of music, and as a farewell to Bob this afternoon, Tom's going to perform that now. While he does that, the family is just going to come forward and say a final farewell. If we could remain in our seats and give the family a few moments, that would be great. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody else like to come on? Today, you've all come together to say farewell to the Bob you know. You now greet the Bob who will live on in your thoughts and your memories. Please rejoice in the happy memories of Bob's life. We're grateful that he's lived, grateful we've seen his face, heard his voice, felt the touch of his hand, shared his love and shared his mateship. Once again this afternoon, on behalf of Helen, the girls, the extended family, thank you once again for your presence here today in the chapel. For those that have joined us online, once again, thank you for joining with us. The family would like to say a huge thank you to each and every one of you for the love and friendship you've each shown Bob throughout his lifetime. When today's service concludes, you'll be heading across to the tea rooms, share a cup of tea, a bite to eat. Most importantly though, you'll be sharing memories. As I mentioned earlier, you've each arrived today carrying your own memories of Bob. You've all shared a moment, a time, a place. There's a good chance that some of you in this room may even be carrying a story or two that most in this room haven't heard before. When you're all together this afternoon, that's your opportunity. Find someone who hasn't heard the story that you're carrying. Please share it with them. The more we share the stories of Bob, the more he will live on in our thoughts, in our memories, and in our hearts. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the family, on behalf of Mackay's and myself, thank you again for your presence today. Please stand, ladies and gentlemen. Please follow us out. Please you go way up. We actually go under the cover there. Otherwise we'll all be stuck in there for half an hour. Okay?